Welcome to Cooking Conversations with your host, Sarah. Today, we have a special guest joining us, Chef Alex, to explore the wonderful world of culinary delights. This podcast is not just about recipes, it's about the language of cooking and how it can enhance your English learning journey.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. I'm excited to share some culinary insights and cooking tips with our listeners while also helping them improve their English skills.
That's the spirit. Let's dive right in and savor the flavors of our topic for today, the art of baking. Baking is not just about mixing ingredients, it's a delightful blend of science, creativity, and precision.
Absolutely, Sarah. Baking requires attention to detail, understanding different techniques, and mastering the language of baking terminology.
Chef Alex, could you share some essential baking techniques that our listeners can learn from?
Of course, baking techniques like creaming, folding, and proofing are fundamental to achieving perfect baked goods.
Could you explain what creaming and folding involve for our listeners who might be new to baking?
Creaming is the process of beating sugar and fat together to incorporate air and create a light, fluffy texture in baked goods. Folding, on the other hand, is gently combining ingredients like whipped cream or egg whites into a batter without deflating the air bubbles.
Let's pause for a moment to explore some baking vocabulary. Chef Alex, could you define the term proofing for our listeners?
Proofing refers to the final rise of dough before baking, allowing yeast or other leavening agents to ferment and create a light and airy texture in bread or pastry.
What are some pro tips you can share with our listeners to elevate their baking skills?
One tip is to always measure ingredients accurately using measuring cups and spoons or a kitchen scale. Another tip is to preheat your oven and use an oven thermometer to ensure precise baking temperatures.
Chef Alex, could you share a personal favorite baking memory or recipe that holds a special place in your heart?
Certainly, Sarah. One of my favorite baking memories is making chocolate chip cookies with my grandmother when I was a child. It's a simple recipe but filled with love and nostalgia.
That sounds lovely, Chef Alex. Baking often brings back cherished memories and creates new ones to treasure.
Absolutely, Sarah. Baking is not just about the final product, it's about the joy of creation and the memories shared with loved ones.
For our listeners, I encourage you to explore baking as a creative outlet. Whether you're baking for yourself, family, or friends, each creation is a masterpiece in its own right. Now, let's have a quick quiz for our listeners. Chef Alex, here's the question. What is the main ingredient in a classic sponge cake?
That's a great question. The main ingredient in a classic sponge cake is eggs, which provide structure and leavening.
We would love to hear from our listeners. Share your favorite baking memories or recipes in the comments below. Let's create a virtual cookbook filled with heartwarming stories and delicious treats.
Thank you again for having me, Sarah. It's been a pleasure sharing my passion for baking and language with our listeners.
Likewise, Chef Alex. Remember, cooking and baking are universal languages that bring people together, ignite creativity, and nourish the soul.
Absolutely. Whether you're a seasoned baker or just starting your culinary journey, keep exploring, experimenting, and enjoying the process.
Stay tuned for more episodes of Cooking Conversations as we delve into diverse cuisines, cooking techniques, and inspiring culinary stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast for more delightful content. And that wraps up our delightful podcast on The Art of Baking with Chef Alex. We hope you enjoyed our culinary conversation and learned some valuable baking insights.
Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Remember, cooking is not just about following recipes, it's about understanding techniques, experimenting with flavors, and expressing creativity in the kitchen.
Stay tuned for more episodes of Cooking Conversations to explore new cuisines, cooking techniques, and language of food. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tasty content.
Happy cooking and happy learning!